we just do what one can do, and I think it also depends on what your interests are. If you are very interested in blogging or in the practice-based work or in the theory, we can also see how we shift the program towards your interest and also what you need now in your step, because we have some of the master's students here. Maybe you have a specific interest right now where you say, I would love to discuss this in the context of this archive seminar. And yeah, so I mean, our idea was really also to read together. I mean, we experienced this within that Afrofuturist work group, that it really makes sense to sit and read through a text together. So of course you can prepare and read beforehand, but to sit together and go through a text together, it seems to be a very good method in the beginning. Also to like uncode or unlock difficult texts, like from Rubio, for example. And then coming step by step towards a more dense idea what this course is going to be about. So
yeah, I also wanted to say that I've invited a couple of people. So between now and the end of June, certainly we'll probably have maybe 2, maybe 3, probably 2 people who have also worked with archives and with artists, and so to give another perspective on approaches which you can adopt, you know. So it's not just us. Yeah.
I just have a question. So we can also use the music archive, or it's also only the physical, visual?
No, I think music archive. Yeah, absolutely.
So, because I'm thinking a longer time about a project with sampling and stuff, music archive.
Yeah.
With friends of mine, they're making electronic music and stuff, and so they're very interested in working with this, and so maybe.
I think it's very cool if this can become a way to draw in other people that are also interested in yoga. And I think I haven't really sat down and explored the music archive, but I have the impression it's quite a lot there. And of course, one thing which I don't know much about, but it could be interesting to talk about, is when you talk about music, is of course this issue of copyleft, creative commons, and other ways that you can use material as a creative practitioner, you know, which are somehow fair. I don't know if any of you have seen the film called Good Copy, Bad Copy, but Good Copy, Bad Copy. We could maybe watch a bit of that. It's very cool because it starts off with do you know Girl Talk? Do you know Girl Talk? He's a sort of DJ that mixes up, but he doesn't. He plays actually quite a long bit from a song, long, 5 seconds. But he really makes new compositions, and it's great because he starts off and he's like, I think he's playing some gigs. No, he's at home. That's right, and he's a chemistry teacher or something in the day, and at night he plays like gigs, and he's like broke. He's obviously not rich, and he's being sued by Sony for billions of dollars because he uses all this music. And it seems, and then you go, and then it looks at other forms of piracy, and you know when this old becomes new. And I think that's kind of also a critical thing here, but I think it particularly because I guess there's a much bigger market for music. Maybe it's even more at the forefront. So no, definitely, I think music archive is very interesting to look at. Maybe we could also think. There is a lawyer also working on this.
Sorry for being late. I would really wish to have or to get something like a theoretical background and questions like, what is archive? What is the difference between archive and collection? What is to whom does the archive belong to? Or what, like rights and something like that?
Yeah.
I think that's surrounds like the topic of or the word of archive.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that they're all quite open and negotiable issues, but what I think what's interesting is that artists have a little bit more of a free approach to that, which is good, but it can also be bad, you know. So, like for the second half of the session, we're going to start a text by Nicholas Borgio called Post-Production, where he's looking at this phenomenon of artists using old material and making it their own. And so I think that begins to address some of these issues. But yeah, I think we could definitely, I mean, what I would like to see if it works is if we can read text in, so if the seminar is like an hour and a half or something, for half of it, the seminar each, whenever we meet, we read a text, but actually then and there. So like with the Afrofuturism group, we last couple of times we haven't read the text before we got there, we've just read it in the group.
Okay.
And I don't know if this is going to work or not, but let's try it today, and if that does work, then I think that could be something we could do every time, spend like half an hour, 45 minutes on the text, but actually, because I think you have a little bit more of a, maybe, I mean, the advantage is you have a more spontaneous response to the text, and the disadvantage is you don't have enough time to think about it. But we have to see what works.
Yeah. In terms of the structure of the seminar, I just thought, I mean, that was exactly what I was looking for, that you also say I would be interested in linking something with the seminar, like having a broader theoretical background in the end, or maybe also like developing a project which somehow then like a side project and feeds into the main project, like the music archive, something like this, or that you, I mean, my idea is that each person in the course develops like, or defines like a role or something like I take over the, I don't know, the press work, or I look for the blog or something like that, so that everybody knows, has a specific like a role in the project, but that you also can link your own projects to the bigger project, so that it's really feeding back into your work as well. So so that we have, like each of us has something like a practical little thing to do, like talking to journalists or something like that, or learning how to write a press information letter, or talking with the authorities or something like that, but also like maybe if it's useful for you at this moment of your studies to develop something on your own which fits back into the big one, like this music archive thing, yeah. Because we have, on one hand, we have the project like a think tank, but on the other hand, we have a concrete idea which we want to realize in the end. We have this festival in October, and we have the residency, and of course it would be nice if some of you would be around during that time as well, to be with the artists and to talk with them and to assist them and to work with them. So that would be the more practical issues, and I think so the idea is also that through the organization of the project and having this Monday afternoon as a point where we all meet, we could really develop, and you can learn a lot on both sides, on the practical issues, how to make a project, and on the whole set of theory behind the idea and the concepts. And, yeah.
So I have a question. How do you point out the objects who are empty? It's just going around and
the empty
spaces and stuff. So, and then how do you find out who is the owner of this and how you get in contact? So
yeah,
I think it's really interesting to me.
Well, so actually, I have to say, I'm not that experienced, because when I was doing it for here, the first place we work with is the shop, and the work is kind of done. For Karstadt, Jan, I think I mean that was for them because they went to the city authorities. The city authorities said, "We're not going to tell you." So then they went to the new Karstadt, which is in the Hoffman Center, and they asked to speak to the manager, and they said, "Oh, we're from House, we're interested." And then I think the conversation has started. Katerina Fink, she was saying to us the other day that she's like kind of interested in also looking at a space, a weekly space, small space, and she has a list of spaces which aren't being used, and she's found that information about them. So maybe we can ask her to come and let us know. But I remember, because I did study for a year in Weimar, and I was just amazed because previously I'd studied in art school in Oxford, and like using spaces was impossible. It was just impossible. You couldn't find anyone to help you. They didn't give a shit. Whereas in Weimar, they actually wanted the spaces to be filled because a city doesn't tend to like to have empty shops because it kind of questions the success of their city at that time. So I think it's a question of finding the right person to speak to. I also think Zeidenbuschwitz, Silikson could be interesting maybe at some stage to come and talk about their experience, because they managed very successfully. Actually, maybe you can help us.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, do you know how the process went for the whole use of like the spaces in Friedrichstraße?
Like how they...
Like for example, the Jean Paul Apotheker was
Yeah.
empty. How did they find the owner? And how did... That was a lot of interpersonal connections, wasn't it? Actually, I think Crystal knew someone who knew someone.
Yeah.
A lot of detective work.
Yeah, that's true. And it comes that they are all like having, what the advantage is that they are all having like a really good network in Bayreuth, that they are all more or less known, so to say. And because of the other projects they've done before, they were in the, I don't know, like the old cinema in Schulstraße, and they knew the owner, or a shopping mall. They've done a project like 3 or 4 years ago. But this time it's, one setting they didn't reach the owner until 2 days before, or 1 week before the exhibition had to open, so was no chance really.
Yeah.
But most of the spaces they, also durch dieses Netzwerk, was schon bestanden hat. Aber manches war schwierig. Und da kommt auch niemand dran. Oder der kennt dann den und den. Hier klappt es vielleicht noch, weil es Bayreuth ist. In größeren Städten wird es bestimmt schwieriger.
What was the actual specific amt or whatever that Jan went to? Do you know?
I think they went. It would be really good if you would be. I think they went to the Kulturamt, and the Kulturamt said there's also the Bauliegenschaftsamt or something like that, which is, I think, they have a list of all the owners of all the buildings or something like that. But then it's difficult because these offices, the Ämter, they are not allowed to give out the names of the owners of the buildings. So there's something like a Datenschutz thing in between. So sometimes it's really difficult to find out, and you really have to go through who knows whom and all that. And I think that was also the problem with, for example, the Sonnenstudio.
No, Meisters, wasn't it?
Yeah, Meisters, because I asked last year,
Okay.
I asked in the Grundbuchamt, because I found this very interesting for having parties or having stuff, cultural stuff or something, and they just said, oh, I can't help you because you don't have the contact and you're not allowed to know this. So, I don't
But
know.
the crazy
but
thing
I was
is,
just a person, individual, so
yeah.
I don't have a big background.
I mean, this is one task I think we can follow up, because I think at one point Jan maybe also stopped, because we knew that the first menu will be the Schokofabrik.
Yeah.
But we can start this again to make it one of our main questions: how to get spaces, how to get to know, how to do that, yeah. And like a
I mean, I have a little bit like a kind of dream is that we could figure out like a kind of guidebook to sort of, you know, squatting old spaces, you know, for the good of the people or whatever it might be. But you know, so really like concrete steps that you can do. Because the crazy thing is, I believe often the people that own Meisters, I mean, it's difficult because there's often lots of different power. Kind of islands in play, but certain people who own that want that space to be used because they want that space to be visible, because maybe they can't use that space because they're bankrupt, but they want to sell it. You know what I mean? Or they want to give it, they want it to be seen in a different light. Of course, you have to consider if you want to become an agent of gentrification, which is possibly what it might happen. You know, it's a very similar phenomenon, like on a bigger scale. Artists and students move to poorer areas, they become hip, all the normal people have to leave, blah blah blah, we know this, like it's a familiar pattern. But at the same time, if there can become like a parasitic like organisation which just goes somewhere for like a couple of weeks and goes somewhere else for a couple of weeks and goes somewhere else and can prove that it doesn't like, you know, a bunch of junkies or whatever they think it might be, I don't know, then I think it would be very useful. Then you just utilise space better. It's as simple as that. You know, it doesn't serve anyone's interest to have this unused. I would say.
We can also pay rent and stuff. So
yeah, exactly.
I mean, this could be really one of the first. I mean, you can form like a small group within the group. Say, that would be my first thing I could do, because I think this is also important. Sometimes you think about curator and curational work as something magical thingy, and then pop, the exhibition is there. But there are so many practical steps you have to face and things like that. Yeah, and it's very helpful and nice to know a bit more about it.
Yeah.
And that you don't have to do all the same ways and all the failures that the others have done before.
So, I don't know if you know, but in Berlin they used to have this tradition of Thursday bars, or Wednesday bars, like a bar that was open once a week. And basically I think one person must have found out that if you were like registered as a gallery, you could legally sell alcohol either one day a week or one day a month, or whatever it might be. So a whole lot of people started just using old spaces and saying they were like legally a gallery, and then you'd go there once a week and there'd be a wicked party, and that space was then used. But that only happened because someone found out there was a loophole, and then that information was shared, you know. And I think that was a really intrinsic part of culture, and like youth culture in Berlin, like in the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s. So it would be great if we could find something similar, like a strategy which other people can then use as well. I really think. So maybe we can get some more information out of Jan. Because a lot of these situations, when you go to an official, city official, it's this power relationship, and a lot of it is knowing actually what you can know. They're like damn shots or whatever, yeah. Alright, fine, I mean you don't actually know, but if you were in a better position, like knowledge-wise, you'd be like, well actually, if you look at section 2.3, you know, or whatever it might be, you know.
And in this context, it might be also interesting to, at one point, to go to the Schokofabrik altogether and let Peter Weintraub and the others tell the story of how finally they made this Schokofabrik to be alive again. Because I think it was a process of 4 years. They tried and tried and tried, and they had so many Rückfälle. And now they finally made it, and that would be also interesting to know about this process and what was finally the magic that made it work.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Like practical lesson.
I'd like to know what is the idea behind the Projektarbeit. Are we supposed to have our own projects or assist with the mashup, the archive project?
I would say it's open to negotiation. Meaning, I think the best thing would be if you could find something within the project which is interesting for you, but which then also contributes, which is also part of the project. You know, I don't know quite how we have to, because presumably then for a shine there must be something kind of written. So one thing I was thinking, for example, is if you could write something which could then go on the blog, you know. So it's then a written piece of analysis, or it's something in like some thought in form, but it also becomes public on the blog as part of the project. That's just one example. Or I don't know.
I mean, when you finished your internship, you said you are very interested in how to make exhibitions, right?
Yes.
Do I remember? So that could be also like it could be a project. So you could become really a project assistant within the project, getting to know about, having an overview about the steps and also like, you know, coordinating things like talking to people, trying to get Masanbili's travel set and all that. I mean, really project assistant in a practical sense, if this is interesting for you. The other could be a more theoretical work, saying I would like to write about about what it means to hip hop and visual archive. What could that be? And then you could use different text and try to work more theoretically, and this could also feed into the website and into the theoretical part of the project. Because like we said, for us it would be really nice if theory and practice are feeding each other. So we would need people who work practically, and we would need people who think with us. And or you define, like Alexandra just mentioned, you define one little thing that could be part of the project, like the music archive, and to try to find out, I would like to see how that works here. How can we open this music archive? How can we work with it? How can we make it accessible for artists? What would be needed to work with the archive, or with this part of the archive? Or maybe for Sigrun, I don't know, the visual, the painting archive would be maybe one part where you would like to work with, and getting, I mean, you have the Bordeaux thing already and all these things anyhow, but trying to link this collection to the mashup and see what comes out if you look from it from this perspective, and what else you can take from that. Yeah.
Yes.
So